Namboole is ready and clear to host the upcoming match days, especially in the African Cup of Nations and the World Qualifiers. That is according to the latest news coming in from the CAF inspection report. My name is Brian, and today we are here to talk about the latest development that is coming in from the footballing scene here in Uganda. Of course, a lot of Ugandans very excited to go back, seeing the two test matches that were played at the Mandela National Stadium a few weeks back. We all expected it to be a reopening of a stadium that holds a lot of history, especially in the Ugandan footballing game, and we expect it to be a beginning of a new era, especially with Uganda running in the race to host the African Cup of Nations 2027. So all of us are very excited. All of us are really very happy to see that CAF has really come out and finally confirmed that the stadium looks all set to host. And of course, I have to clear one thing, that when CAF says Uganda is all clear, it does not mean that the stadium renovation as well as the works at the stadium are 100% complete. But looking at what is remaining and what has been done and what structures, and of course, we don't only look at the physical installations, but we also look at what is expected to be done in due course. Of course, we all know that things like the LED screens are not yet, put into the stadium already. That screen that has been there is slowly being dismantled. If you've been looking at a few videos that have been coming in, you really recognize that they still works on, but according to the way things have been, treated, the way the things have been carried on, it looks like everything is all set to be worked on. And of course, the credit would go to government for at least finding the finances in time for this to be done. And of course, not only finding the finances, but the collaboration with the football governing body, FUFA, which of course under Ingia Moses Magogo, there is no way you can really take away the credit from them, because they've worked hand in hand with government. They've really found the right strategy. Like I told you, the executive committee at CAF holds that right to rescind any decision that has been made earlier, and the decisions that were made earlier, especially in regards to the report that was submitted in a few months back, which really certified that the stadium was not 100% ready. All that, of course, going into the drain, and through the works and through the renovations and through everything that has been done, a joint effort, it has been confirmed that now the stadium looks all set to host the upcoming games. In a letter dated the 12th of May 2024, which was addressed to the FUFA CEO Edgar Watson, it confirmed that every new development that has been undertaken at the stadium is satisfying and looks on course to help Uganda participate in the FIFA World Cup as well as the African Cup qualifiers that are going to be played in there. And of course, the construction was or the renovation was something that has taken so many years, and a lot of people have been questioning the money that has been spent in there. Over 97 billion Ugandan shillings have been really spent in that stadium, and of course a lot were not satisfied with the works in there. But when you look at the gate system, the entrance system, or the ticketing system, when you look at things like the security, we've seen installation of cameras all over the stadium, because it's one of the requirements for modern stadiums really to host games, because you need to know if someone does something in the stadium, you need to know how to track them. You need to, of course, find a way of curbing anything to do with the vice in the stadium. There's also things to do with the security systems and the media and press, centers where they're supposed to be doing their works. Not only, of course, the match conferences and all that, but also in the stadium itself, the seating arrangement where the media are supposed to be, situated. They've already catered for those having the desks and all that, for them to have the commentators space and all the other things that are supposed to be worked on. And to me, I really think that it was a learning process for everyone, especially in government, UPDF as well. We needed, just like the government had the idea of building capacity, building the people that are supposed to be working in the future projects. Like I told you, even the other projects that are going to be done or worked on in Uganda, especially the Hoima City Stadium and the other stadiums and training centers that are supposed to be constructed, that is, of course, in preparation for the 2027 African Cup of Nations. they are going to be working hands in hands with UPDF for them to grow their capacity and also empower them to do jobs like this. But all in all, of course, after this report and after the confirmation that Uganda will be hosting Botswana on the 7th of June and Algeria on the 10th of June 2024 in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, and of course, there is a lot of things that are really supposed to be put into mind, because if we are ready and the stadium is ready, and of course the renovation, like I told you, are still undergoing, then where does it leave the management of the stadium, especially in regards to the issues that made the stadium decay to this level? So management has to really find and devise a means. The easiest bit is renovating the stadium, because that can be done using money and all that stuff. You can acquire this, you can acquire that, but then it becomes a little bit challenging when it comes to the maintenance. The pitch itself, the surface, like I told you, is something that really needs to be managed on a daily basis. It's a natural grass, so you need to know when to trim, you need to know when to water. That is why you see every after the halves, like the first half, they water the pitch. Every after game, they water the pitch, and then the groundsmen have to come in, professional groundsmen. That is why you see there were not people from Uganda managing the pitch, because it is a technique that really, in fact, in the world that we watch football, especially the games that you see in Europe and all the other continents, that there are at least professional groundsmen that handle the pitch, that work to see that the pitch is in order. Every after, even if there is a break or an injury break, they really want to see that the pitch is 100% well and it's managed well. So that is the way forward. We need to understand how this stadium is going to be managed, because a lot of people have been coming out and talking about how the stadium is not supposed to host crusades or concerts and all that stuff, because they are worried that the surface will be affected. Me, I don't. I want to talk like a layman. I want to think through the system and understand, why does Namboole have people, for example, political rallies and all that stuff being hosted in there? First of all, the stadium itself, for it to be self-sustainable, it needs to make money. So the problem is not the concerts and the people that go there, the crusades and all that stuff. It's not about that. It's about the measures that are put in order to help the stadium make the money, because these are the people that pay a lot of money. Government itself cannot maintain the stadium using the money that comes from it directly. Then you'll have a lot of issues, because even the renovation works have been having issues. So when it comes to money being coming out of government every single day to manage the stadium, that will not work. So the stadium itself, just like the other stadiums around the world, it has to be self-sustainable. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the new stadium, has its own way of being managed, especially with generating money. It does American football, it does concerts and all that stuff. We've seen Wembley do the same. We've seen other stadiums, Old Trafford itself, doing the same. But what is different? The difference between the other stadiums is that they have pitch covers. Now, these pitch covers are a little bit more expensive when you look at the costing around, and of course, the costing includes the transportation from wherever they are to here. These pitch covers are really materials that are put, and some of them are, for example, if they are protecting it against the rain and all the other things, they have a little bit of they look like PVC, PVC material that really covers them. But when it comes to things like concerts, they go even to the extreme of having plastic kind of, pitch covers, and they cost a lot. I saw an estimation of over like 5 billion that is required for the government if they really need to buy such a cover. And I think if we want to go forward, we want to make the stadium reach the quality that we need it to reach, it has to have these covers for it to host whatever is. Because we don't have issues with the seating stands where, of course, the people sit, but the problem is with the pitch surface itself, because that is where the biggest problem is. Because we all know it's very difficult for someone to come and pull out a plastic chair and go out with it. But when you really allow people to go and step on that surface, then it creates a very big problem for the groundsmen. And before you know, because it's natural grass, you will see it eroding and you'll see patches into the stadium, which you wouldn't want, especially when Uganda is going to be hosting the upcoming games that are supposed to be very crucial, especially even the hosting of the African Cup of Nations 2027. So government has to devise a strategy. After the construction of this stadium, they need to find a way of getting these match, of course, the pitch covers. And that to me is the way, the only way that Namboole can be self-sustaining, because you cannot say it is going to host a football match, then it takes 3 or 4 months just there, redundant, not doing anything. And a lot of people do not understand how these things work. It cannot you cannot have a stadium hosting 3 or 4 games a year and it is self-sustaining. You'll have issues. You'll have things eroding. You need to have conference centers. You need to have a lot of things around the stadium that really make money for the stadium to really be self-sustaining. So that is, to me, the next step that I want to see government embark on for us to have at least something better. But in the general plan of the stadium, you expect it, because it has a lot of land around it, so you expect a lot of things to be constructed around there. Like I got to know they are going to be constructing an indoor arena around there. They're going to be constructing a lot of things. They're even going to be giving a facelift to the stadium itself. They want to increase, and of course, you remember it was very hard for them to do any kind of any change to the structure itself, because already it is a structure that was done so many years. So for them to create the stands and create the covered stands, they need to embark on another level of renovation that I think will be done, especially when we're looking at 2027 African Cup of Nations. But all the same, everything looks all well. The other question would be then what happens, especially to the other sports discipline. Like I told you, rugby itself is another game that is going to be hosted in Namboole. Already the state of the pitch, and already they acquired even the goalpost for rugby. We are going to be hosting an African level kind of game in the next coming years here. In fact, by end of this year as well as next year, we are going to be hosting the African rugby games in Namboole Stadium. So that means it needs to be a little bit versatile in there. To me, that is a way to go. This stadium has to be active for it to be maintained like we've seen there. Then a lot of people have been asking whether we are going to be having LED advertising boards around the stadium. That is an innovation that really will be coming in, especially when we are moving towards the African Cup of Nations, because right now it is very expensive. Like I told you, just to have one piece of a LED advertising board, just a meter of it, because it's 1 meter by maybe a half, it will cost you over 6 or 7 million, and you need over 100 boards around the stadium for you to have that. And when you look at that, you look at the transportation, you look at all the taxes and all that stuff, then it creates a little bit of the challenging bit of what you should expect, especially if you're going to be managing such a stadium. But it's a requirement that will really come in when you are going to be you're going to be hosting big games on the African level, because advertisers are the people that pay the money. So you need to have at least a space for them to put their products, a space for them to say whatever they want to say, because if you don't do it, then you'll be a little bit I don't think in this era you can have a pitch, especially that hosts the level of the games that are African Cup of Nations or the World Cup, and you cannot have advertising boards around you. So government has to find a way of really installing them. Maybe it might be too soon for the games, the qualifiers, but for the other African Cup of Nations, they will be installed, and we expect that to be an innovation that will come in the another phase that we are really looking forward to having in the stadium. But all in all, I am very satisfied. I'm very happy. I don't agree with anyone really that is negative, especially when it comes to infrastructure development, especially when it comes to positives. Let us give credit where credit is due. FIFA was not happy with their involvement, especially in the renovation works, but they accepted that government, they take charge of everything. So where do you come in as FUFA is the technical bit, and I think that will be sorted soon, and that understanding, especially in regards to the other stadiums being constructed, government will involve FUFA as a stakeholder, because they know exactly the requirements. They are the people that fulfill they're the people that CAF really sends the information. They are the people that, in fact, they have a certified, instructor from CAF within themselves, who does the inspection, the pre-inspection before a letter is written, for him or her to, in fact for her to come out and say that this a little bit is where we want it as CAF, or this really will not work as CAF. So to me, I believe that is a positive, and I want to see us going that way for us to have a better game. All in all, I am, of course, looking forward to providing another update. I have an update coming in from Hoima. I don't think you really have to miss that.